Reignite your intuition to show to grow your intuitive self. Today I talk about how to deal with Christmas monsters. My name is Angela and I'm a highly intuitive person by birth, what makes me the expert in supporting you regaining your intuition. As a psychic life coach, it is my passion to support people by becoming themselves. Trusting fully your intuition takes time and is a very individual process. I share with you my knowledge and hands-on strategies I have developed to support you in your daily lifestyle. Hi and welcome again. It's already this time of the year where some have this, woohoo, Christmas will be soon, and the others are like, oh good God, even Grinch was more Christmassy than I am. Well, the point with the Christmas monster is how did they came into your life and why did they came into your life? Because there is always a reason why we have monsters, and mostly because somehow something small or big happened. I can tell you from my childhood, I used to sit in a car during Christmas, which means on the 25th of December there was not a lot of traffic, so let's go then on vacation, drive to Italy. And I was like, okay, we never had a Christmas tree. My mom's family is a bit smaller than my dad's because she has one sibling and my dad has 6. Okay, so the size of the family events was very, very different. Plus the families in itself are very, very different. Plus my dad refused to go to these events, but he had to because he was obliged, as he was our dad and we were the kids and we wanted to. And for him the Christmas monster was huge. And very interesting, when I talked to one of his brothers, he's like, oh, I didn't have this in my mind like this, and he has it in his mind like that. Okay, that's interesting. And I remember that I tried to avoid this Christmas monster with going to my dad's office and working there, like drawing stuff. I was like, I gotta work. And this was my way to avoid Christmas monsters, but it also held me back from having a good time. It's a combination. Like, I am highly sensitive, and I did not like this, how to say that politely, pretending to be things. And I still can't stand it, but I can deal with it now. In the meanwhile, I can't. And I felt obliged to be loyal to my father, so I did not join the whole event. So the whole monster part was like, oh my goodness, Christmas monsters, blah, 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 blah. I must admit, the Christmas monster is not as big as I expected it ever to be. I started to have a tree. That's a lie. I did not start to have a tree. I was just going on my parents' nerves so badly until my dad took me into the forest and cut the tree. We had a tiny little forest and I cut the tree there. And I got the tree and it was in my room. It was not even in a living room. And then later on we started back again to have some kind of Christmas because we had to stay home as we could not take vacation during this time of the year. The good thing about my Christmas monster story when I was a child was when I started working in hospitality business. Guess what you do there? You work 24/7 and nobody cares if it's Christmas, New Year's or whatever. So I prefer to work on Christmas during the whole Christmas, but I wanted to be off on 1st of January. Guess why? Because I was young, I wanted to have fun. So this whole Christmas monsters thing is very much within you. And it has a lot to do with your family history and how your family deals with all this, let's call it crap. Well, no, it's not crap, but it really depends. Like when you're from a family that just had a good time wanting to be together and is honest with each other, or as honest as possible within families, because that's a point that's not very easy, then this monster won't be as big as if you're in a family where you can see the lies, you know, like when you sit on a table and you feel that this whole thing is a lie, is a pure lie, and behind their backs they could stab each other nearly. Okay, they don't stab each other, but they can't stand each other nearly. Then it's a monster. Then this is called my worst Christmas monster. I must admit I hate these situations and I do not like to go in there. I avoid them. I must really love someone to give my time as a gift to that person to go to such events, because it is just energy sucking like crazy, because not that they take my energy, but I need that much energy to stay straight. And one of the worst moments I ever had in my life in such a situation was that a teenage daughter, I think she was around 13 or 12, I don't remember, it's quite a bit ago, stood up from the table while we were all eating and walked away because of her father's behavior. He wanted to show some YouTube videos or whatever, things that I did not agree with him as well, but she stood up and walked away. And it was pretended to be one of these marvelous family events and Christmas events and all that stuff. And I was just like, good God, she has more cojones than all of us. And she faced the monster. But the fact was, the table ignored it. And I was like, wait a second. They ignored that she faces the monster. So I stood up and went and talked to her, and she was like, I'm just done, and blah, 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 which is totally fine. It's totally fine. If someone faces the monster, please take the time to talk to them. If you need to face the monster, take it with a shitload of humor. And here is what is my idea, actually. It is, when I was 15/16, I had the privilege to go to India, to Bangalore, to South India as a nanny for 2 wonderful Swiss Indian girls. And before I went there, I got a gift. It's a book called Culture Shock India, and I loved it. And they gave marvelous idea how to deal with this culture, which is absolutely opposite anything I knew until then. And I was not very well traveled before that, to be honest. I went to Wales once, and I went skiing and I went to it. That's about it. Probably is one city or something, but not much. I was really not far traveled back then. But in this book there was written, if there is something that you don't like or that irritates you, imagine it back home. And I remember there was a man, I think it was my second or third day there, and he spit on the floor on the street, and I was like, my first reaction was complete shock. And then I was like, wait a second, I just take him and put him on Zurich on Bahnhofstrasse, which is the street to go shopping, and I imagine him to spit there on the floor. And I went off the hook laughing. And this is how I gave you the idea how to deal with the Christmas monster. Don't make him naked, that doesn't help, because But when someone is behaving really weirdly, doesn't matter if it's a business event or if it's a private event, just imagine to put them like on the table at the Queen's table, for example, when there is dinner or whatever in the White House. I don't care where you put them, but imagine how they do it on another place where it would be super weird, or I don't like the super embarrassing part, but at least like the super weird. So try to take this monster with humor. And then there is the other monster, actually, that's within you. That's the one that expects probably that Christmas is going to be a nightmare. There is 2 ways. One way is just to celebrate with yourself all the time and nobody else is welcome. Or there's the other way, if you don't want to do that, or if you can't do that you're honest with yourself and be like, I never tried to celebrate Christmas in a proper way, or I never tried to do this or that. Just make sure that you're honest towards yourself. That's the important part. Okay? Face the monsters within you and the outside, and face it with a lot of humor, because that's, in my opinion, the best support that you can have. If humor is your guide through the whole time of Christmas, New Year's, and actually through your whole life, you have a friend and a guide that's supporting you, and still you're clear in your mind, which is important as well. So in this case, I wish you a good time with the Christmas monsters and loads of humor. Are you ready for being you? Yeah? Then go to angelaheck.com, book a 30-minute free call. You'll find the link below the podcast. Have a marvelous time!